we're going to do the Saturday session a little differently, morphing it more of a recording. I think Carrie and I are capturing some stuff on the side. And I just wanted to give a perspective to what's a lot of times people always ask, like, especially in our family, I don't quite know what you guys do. Because they can't define us, they can't put their finger on us. They're trying to put us into some theology formula into a computer and then have it spit out to say, well, you're not Hebraic roots, you're not Christianity, you're not Messianic, you're not this, you're not that. And so they're always looking for something to label us so that they feel, so their ego feels, so if they feel comfortable. And I love that. I love the uncomfortable of that. It's part of my nature. Because I've never been one for labels. But that being said, what I love about this expression of language, and I want to assist you in a vernacular if you so choose, that because a lot of this is very frightening to people when you're moving into a paradigm potential of a measure. This whole language is more ethereal from beyond. And so it vibrates at a very high velocity. It's very lofty and its concepts very lofty, and it's revealing of who you are as a potential. Again, God, some assembly required, right? And so it's integration into the Godhead of who we are as individuals and who we are as a collective, as really a corporation. When we rightly define that word, it just means a body. And so we are in this suit, this body, until we form the duty, responsibility, navigating back to what celestial law is, or this language of light law is, back to a measure beyond. And I just asked Carrie, I said, I wanted to give more of a word definition of what the Spirit is really drilling down on me right now. I've always been touching on it, but just for those that are new to it, I want to give an expression of what is being scripted within yourself, so you can actually put your finger on your own label to say, oh, wow, we've been doing this long enough that we realize that unknowing or knowing, we have actually removed ourselves into our own night school. We've actually dismissed ourselves, gathered ourselves, assembled ourselves through integration of what the word has shown us. And it's like going into your own course. We've gone into our own course of action. This is all integration again of intercourse, but yet we have really studied to our position that really we're in the position, if we were in a school system after 10 years, we would be equating as doctorate into mastery language. And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that as a vibration, I'm collapsing what is as self-prognostication, but I'm realized what it is by filling it up in innocence. It is simply the recognition of time spent studying something, from a sojourn to a journeyman, into the transcript of what it is to work into a guild. Family is called a mastery, and that's the language of love. And so what I really wanted to make a point of is that now I can see it, that we are actually in more of law school. So now you can reform this, like, oh, this is why I'm doing this. You're actually investing in a law firm. As a firm law, you are actually a lawyer. And I'm going to redefine it. So everything on Saturday for me in the Spirit is like, yeah, it's time to release the Constitution of Independence as a sovereign sentencing, as an integration of law school, being realized that we are all moving into constitutional law, the highest degree over the nation. This holds firm to one nation, to one sovereign being, to one sovereign standing. So I just wanted to form that for you. So if people around like, what is it you're into? You can actually say, I'm studying law. I'm going into a law degree. Based on circumnavigation, all degrees are seeking an encompassment of sound wholeness. It's a language of law of the sea of navigation, but make no mistake, you are going into constitutional law. And by definition, it means I come into one standing as one being, no longer divided. I'm indivisible by myself as God, assembled, that is one fully constituted. So I just wanted to share that as a vibration, releasing that into the ethereal realm, that may it be known to the world in the vibration of this frequency that this is constitutional law, and we are well established in what we are releasing. We're well aware of what we're releasing and the potential of what it will bring forward as a true constitution. So it just kind of excited my heart when the Spirit says, okay, to say that now, but it puts more of a definer on it in the parentheses to say, oh, a law as a lawyer is not a bad thing. when you know what law and a lawyer is by definition, and I'll be breaking all this down on Saturday, of every word vibration that's connected to the Constitution as an individual standing through what it is to be sovereignly unique in your own representation, through the process of approaching the court, the high benchmark, as a witness and a testimony. And so I'll be breaking all that down into the fractal components for our heart, that you would all be well versed in the law and the language of constitutional law.
So for you guys to connect this to a Hebrew, or actually an Aramaic word, but it's also Hebrew, because I've shared this before, but for some of you, this will be new. If you've heard me on YouTube, I've used this word many times, oreta, oreta. And that is the word that is used only 3 times in the book of Matthew that Yeshu is referring to. When he used to say your law, he was talking about the Namosa, which was the Greek Septuagint of the Torah. When he was speaking about the law that he was, and that everything, all the law and the prophets hung upon, it was oreta. It's light's law, light's intimate law, like going into the bridal chamber of intimacy, which is the one law, the law of one, which is actually a permutation for the word Torah. So Torah is the Hebrew equivalent. Oreta is the Aramaic as absolute. So Torah builds the form. Oreta fills the form as the absolute. And so what Ken is talking about, he's not talking about Black's law.
No.
Which is what all of our court system run off
in the lesser narrative.
He's talking of the white's law, or the light's law, oreta. And the only way that we can connect this is that all the constituent moving pieces of oreta is the otiot, which is a word that means the letters. Mm-hmm. So if I can't bring the vibration of the letters to you, the otiot, the aleph, the bet, the gimel, the dalet, then what he is sharing from you on the other side as this law of oreta, this is celestial law.
Yes.
Okay, so please understand that what we're presenting is all of those moving parts and pieces, because as we establish sovereignty in no matter what land we are and our sphere of influence, we have to be able to have a common vernacular that we are all using that resonates and vibrates to a higher frequency than that of Black's law.
Yeah, there's no one coming to rescue us in this process. We have to be realized that we'll stand before ourselves and give ourselves as a sound witness to our own resolve. This is why our heart is to do this right now. And this is going to be a very purpose year.
Yes.
And it greatly assisted me when the Spirit showed me this. For some of you are already familiar with this, maybe you do this, but it greatly assisted me when everything, I'm very much connected to the intimacy of this language. And so I don't want to break free of the intimacy where it's say, that's too legal for me. Well, no, if you see it correctly, legal is a language of love that is directly connected to intimacy. We just have to know it's contract. It's a contract language that allows the union to come into one standing. So it is law begets law as love begets love. It's saying the same thing. It's just the way of expressing it. And what greatly assisted me was when I started looking at the language, it allowed me to navigate myself as my own court setting. I realized that I was sitting in the courtroom. So when we see it from that vantage point, we can say that I call all the constituents as an assembly. So all the constituents from the aleph to the tav are all ingredients or constituents or part of the body. Think of government. So I always formulate in my heart and my head, I'm forming my own government. And I'll break that down this Saturday as well. What is a government? And in this vernacular, you're able to call all the letters. So today, Carrie's sharing the constituent one. It's like one governor, the aleph, and I call it into the house. I call it in so I can at one point, bring the 22 constituents into the house so I can assemble it as a law.
And we're taking a lot of time on the aleph because everything is burst through the aleph. Like right. The aleph is the master letter that everything comes through.
Yes, it would sit on the high bench.
It's definitely the white fire,
yes.
Which is why oreta. So I wrote this down. I know you guys don't know the letters yet, but for some of you that do, it's aleph, vav, resh, yod, tav, aleph. This is that word that we're talking about. And oreta, of course, it starts with the aleph.
With the aleph.
So it's a good idea, if this is celestial law, that we really go deep and dive deep into the aleph so that we can capture the leading essence of what we are talking about here as our sovereign standing law of the celestial highest order.
Yeah.
Okay,
so anyway, so I just want to say that because it actually fills it up to say now there's purpose, that you're actually studying the ancient order of law from a legal place and a legal tender. You're actually establishing an ancient order. And so I want to make you aware of that, because I don't want to waste your time, and you don't want to waste my time nor Carrie's time. This is very important right now. What's coming in as a vibration is establishing an ancient order, an ancient law that has long been missed in the world, because we've just been distracted by a lesser constitution. I mean, don't disrespect, it served its purpose, but there is a quantum language out there. There's a constitution of a lesser degree, and there is establishment of Reta that has to be established by the representation of a people in the earth once again. You want salvation, you want to rescue, that's when it happens. When you comprehend this, we will be a gathered people again, as an assembly, as a body, as a representation, as individuals sovereignly established, as one nation, individual. But there we will be. And this is what really the order that is beyond is waiting for that frequency to be established into the earth once again. That's our intention. I want to start this new year out correctly, or when we're going into this new year, recognizing that we are establishing the Constitution.
Absolutely. Constitute and enjoining ourselves.
And enjoining ourselves.
God, some semblance.
We have to first learn to subject ourselves. This is the language of empire. So we have to learn to subject ourselves to what the mastery is. The mastery is the language, and it teaches you subject yourself. There's no subjects that I'm in control of. I have subjected myself to the mastery of what the language is, and it's taught me to realize the subject and the master share the exact same space. And so I'm an emperor, and I'm realizing I have taught myself as a subject to myself. That's empire language. And this language is all about empire.
Yep. Which then again, as we've shared before, that is why the symbol of the dragon it's the symbol of the emperor.
Tanini, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tanina or Tanini.
This is a very ancient order that's waiting for a people to say, yes, I want to establish the ancient order once again. So anyways, just wanted to share that vibration is set.
Well, then again, that's adding to the why. We're going into the OTO, the letters themselves, so that as Ken is delivering this to us in all the pieces that he has accumulated, if you choose to say Amen, then you understand the tone and the frequency behind all that he's sharing by what the letters are coming together to create within us. Does that make sense? So he's kind of working from here, and I'm working here, and we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully all of us will have a resounding amen, an amen that will ripple out and will begin affecting matter in a way that is behind the scenes, but very much is incredibly powerful. Like I shared last week, this language is a technology. So we are approaching it from that with much reverence, and what we're being able to be stewarding as our inheritance. I mean, what kind of inheritance can be better than being realized as creator and that all things are yours? The only thing that limits us from that is this.
That's why it's called the language of possession.
Right.